They thought they could break me, laughed in my face, treated me like dirt under their boots. But what they didn't know, I'm the one who makes the rules in this game. And when I struck back, they weren't ready for what came next. You sure you want to know what happened after? Marcus had seen it all. 45 years on the job, a seasoned state judge, with more courtrooms and high-stakes cases under his belt than he cared to count. Nothing fazed him anymore. At least that's what he thought. He dealt with criminals, politicians, and egos bigger than the state of Texas itself. But somehow, tonight felt different. He was tired, dead tired. The kind of exhaustion that made his bones ache and his mind slow down. It had been one of those days, papers piling up endless meetings and cases that seemed to drag on forever. But hey, he was used to it. As he walked home that evening, the air felt thick. Heavy clouds had rolled in, and the city was eerily quiet. People hustled by in a blur of faces, everyone seemingly preoccupied with their own thoughts. Marcus was ready to put the day behind him. He just wanted to get to his apartment, kick off his shoes, and crack open a bottle of bourbon. Passing by a small cafe, something caught his eye. 2 cop cars were parked up by the curb. At first glance, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but then he saw them. Bryce and Evan, 2 officers who'd been on the force way too long for their own good. They were standing there, shooting the breeze, cracking jokes. Marcus was used to cops, but these 2, they had an attitude that made his skin crawl. As he walked closer, Bryce's eyes locked onto him, and just like that, his face broke into a grin that was all kinds of wrong. "Yo, check it out. New slave on the block," Bryce said, his voice dripping with that same old mockery that was all too familiar. "Shine our shoes, dude. Come on, let's see what you got." Evan snickered under his breath, like this was all some kind of harmless joke. It was the kind of thing people like them always thought was funny. Cops with power, too much time on their hands, and not enough brain cells to keep them in check. But Marcus? He wasn't in the mood for any of this. He kept walking, hoping they'd drop it, but they didn't. "Yo, you ignoring us?" Evan barked, stepping into his path. Marcus stopped, the air suddenly feeling thick as a cloud of smoke. Inside, his anger started to rise, but he didn't let it show. Not yet. He knew exactly what was happening here. It wasn't just some dumb joke. This was an attempt to humiliate him, test him, maybe even provoke him. And those 2, they were betting he wouldn't have the guts to call them out. "What's the deal?" Marcus said, turning to face them, his voice calm, collected. "You want me to shine your shoes or something?" "Why?" "Because you, damn it," Bryce shot back with a smirk. "You're just standing there like some kind of, well, you know, it's your job, man. Know your place." Marcus took a slow, deliberate breath, sizing them up. This wasn't about shoes. This wasn't about anything but power and control. They thought they could push him around because of who he was, because of what they thought he was. But Marcus wasn't the type to let anyone, especially not a couple of small-town cops, think they could get away with disrespect. "I'm not doing that," Marcus said, his voice steady, no trace of fear in it. "And if you keep pushing, you better start walking the other way." Bryce's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, Marcus thought the guy might actually take a swing at him. But he didn't. Instead, he stepped forward, chest puffed out, like he was trying to intimidate him. Marcus stood his ground, his eyes locking onto Bryce's. But then something unexpected happened. Marcus grabbed Bryce's arm before he could even blink and shoved him backward, sending him stumbling a couple of steps. Evan froze. You could see the surprise flash across his face. He wasn't expecting this. Neither was Bryce. "You're not in a position to talk to me like that," Marcus said calmly, not raising his voice, just letting the words land like a hammer. "I'm the chief judge of this state, and if you want to keep playing games, you better find someone else to mess with." There was a long silence. The air between them crackled with tension. Bryce's cocky grin faltered. Evan looked like he wasn't sure whether to back off or keep pushing. But Bryce wasn't backing down, not yet. "You're gonna report us, huh?" Bryce sneered, stepping forward again, this time more aggressively. "You don't have the right to talk to us like that." Marcus didn't flinch. He just let out a small, knowing chuckle. "Try me," he said, turning on his heel, walking toward his car. "Go ahead, test it out. But just so you know, this is just the beginning." The cop stood there for a second, still processing what had just happened. Evan muttered something under his breath, but it was clear he wasn't expecting this fight. And Marcus, he knew the real battle had just begun. But for now, he was just getting started. One thing was for sure, he wasn't about to let these guys push him around. Not tonight. Not ever.